Hi guys! Today our lesson is going to be about finding average or finding the mean. The words mean and average are synonyms, and if you remember from English language arts, that means that they are words that mean the same thing. So when a teacher says, "I want you to find the mean of this data," it also means that the teacher wants you to find the average of that data. So we're going to go ahead and get started in talking about the mean. What is it? The mean or the average is a way that we can look at a data set to kind of determine what typically might happen or kind of what is expected. And so, like, why do we use averages or means? We use them to understand, like I said, what might happen, the likelihood of something happening, or what has typically happened in the past. So, like, a lot of times we hear averages a lot in weather data. You hear weather meteorologists often say the average temperature for today is 56 degrees. Well, that doesn't mean that some days it's not higher or some days it's not lower. It just means that on average we can usually expect a day that's going to be about 56 degrees. Same thing for sporting averages. If I say that a basketball player usually shoots 50% from the free throw line, so anytime they shoot a free throw, that means about half the time they're going to make it. Doesn't mean that, maybe some games they're going to shoot more than 50%. Some games, maybe they're going to be less, but just on average, that's kind of what I can expect, or the likelihood that something's going to happen. So as a coach, I can think about those averages and that data to help me make decisions during the game, or meteorologists can help use that data to make decisions about future weather. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in and talk about how we find the average for a set of data. We're going to start off with some easy things first. For instance, the lunch ladies. Here's our problem. The lunch ladies would like to know the average number of students who ate choice 2 in the cafeteria from the previous week. This is the data that the lunch ladies have from the previous week. They're hoping to use this data to help them plan their future menus. Okay, so you guys can see on Monday, we have 5 students who bought choice 2 on Monday, 7 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 6 on Thursday, and 0 on Friday. Now, one of the things I want to start off by pointing out is this 0 that we have here on Friday. Even though it's a 0, some people might say it's not important, but when you're working with averages and data, that 0 actually means a lot. That 0 is actually very important and needs to be included in when you're finding data. Okay, so here's the process for finding the average. The first thing that you want to do, step 1, is, and we're going to be referring to these steps throughout. Step 1 is I want to take every single piece of data that I have here, and I want to put them together to find the sum. So I'm going to add up Monday's data, Tuesday's data, Wednesday's data, Thursday's data, and Friday's data, and I'm going to add them all up to find the sum of the entire week. Okay, so I know that 5 plus 7 equals 12, plus 2 more gives me 14, plus 6 more gives me 20, plus that 0, I still have 20. So for the entire week, I have 20 students who ate choice 2. Okay. Now the second thing that I want to do when I find the average, the second step, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to keep referring to both of these steps when you find the average. The second step that you want to do is you want to take that sum, the total that you just came up with, I took the 20, and I want to divide it by the amount of data pieces that I had. So I had 5 days in this week. There were 5 pieces of data that I used in my sum. So I want to divide it by that same amount. So I'm going to divide by 5. And so I know 20 divided by 5 gives me 4. And so what does this 4 mean? The 4 is my average. And I abbreviate average with AVG. And so the 4 is my average for the week. So the lunch ladies know that on average, 4 students purchase choice 2 each day. Now, you know what, if you've noticed here, there's some days of the week that I have more than 4 students who purchased choice 2. But then there's other days of the week where I have much less than 4. And so this kind of tells the lunch ladies the middle number. It tells them just an average, what they can kind of expect during a week. If every week was like this, then they can kind of expect that about 4 students are going to buy lunch choice 2 every single day. So that might help them with their meal planning purposes. It might help them with choosing foods that might be more popular. If they have a smaller average than what they'd like, maybe they might choose foods that might be more popular to encourage more kids to buy lunch. Okay, let's look at another example. Carly, she wants to find out her spelling grade for 4th quarter. She's got all of her graded papers, and her grades are as follows for the spelling test. On test 1, she got a 93%, test 2 an 84, test 3 she got a 90%, test 3 is a 90%, test 4 is a 78, and test 5 is a 90. So again, we're going to refer back to those 2 steps. If you remember back from the lunch lady problem, I made the sum of all of our data pieces. So that's what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to take 93, 84, 90, 78, and 90, and I'm going to find the sum of all 5 of these pieces of data. So I know that 3 plus 4 is 7, plus another 8 gives me 15. I'm going to carry my 10 here in the tens column, and now I'm going to add together my tens column. I already see that I have 3 9s, and when I put this 8 and 1 together, I get another 9, so that's 4 9s. 4 times 9 gives me 36, plus this 7 is going to give me 43. So now I have 435 as my sum. And if you remember back from the lunch lady problem, the second thing that I need to do is take this sum, 435, and I'm going to divide it by the total number of data pieces. Well, remember I had 5 data pieces, so I'm going to divide by 5. And so now I'm going to divide. If I have 4, I can't take out a group of 5, so now I'm going to move to my 43, which is really 430. 43 divided by 5, 8. I'm going to subtract my 40, because 8 times 5 is 40, and I'm left over with 3. Now I'm going to drop down my 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 7 times 5 gives me 35, and it looks like after I subtract, I'm not going to have a remainder. So again, now this 87, after I've divided, my quotient becomes my average. Again, AVG, there's my abbreviation for average. 87 is my average. And so what that tells me is that Carly, on average, scores for this quarter, scored an 87% in spelling for her grades. So some spelling grades are higher than an 87. So like these 3 here, they're higher than the 87. But then she's got some that are lower. So like the 84 and the 78 is quite a bit lower than the 87, and so that might bring her down. One of the things that you can think about is, Carly as a student, she can ask herself, if I did better on this test, test 4, if she would have done better on that test, then her overall average would go up. It would be higher than an 87%. So anytime that you change a piece of data, it's going to have an effect on the overall average. Sometimes a lot, sometimes not so much. And so in this case, maybe if she would have scored a 79%, it would have brought it up just a little bit. If she would have scored 100%, her average would be a lot higher than what it is here. Okay? So as you work on your homework tonight, if you need to copy these steps down, or if you want to freeze the video and refer back to it, you can always rewind the video and look at it as you're completing your homework. But these 2 steps are going to help you calculate the average of the mean of the different sets of data that you're going to be given for homework. So you can always go back to the video to help you figure that out. Okay? Talk to you later. See ya.